It's cold, it's damp, it's winter time, but you want to start a fire. Well, for that you need proper tinder. In this video I will show you how to produce tinder, which is super easy to make, very reliable, burns for quite a long time, and is also super cheap. So just stay tuned. Before we start producing our own tinder, let us take a look at the various options. The first one that comes to mind are of course natural resources. The tinder fungus, Formis formentarius, or also called hoof fungus in some area, is a shroom which grows on trees, and it makes very good tinder material when it is sufficiently dry, or when it has been sufficiently dried. You could also use the inside of pipe flasks, a water plant which is often found near bodies of sweet water. While both of these are not protected under environmental laws in most European countries, they might or might not be easy to find in your area. And even if you find them, you would have to dry them thoroughly. If you use pipe flasks, you also have to clean the insides with soap and then ideally renitrate them. So that is quite some work. Another option, of course, is to log into Amazon and buy tinder. You could either use chemical stuff, which is not that satisfying, or you could use some fat wood, which is usually produced in Southern America. Haven't seen any European fat wood so far. Also a natural material, but quite expensive. For the kind of tinder we are going to produce, we just need two materials. Let's look right into it. All we need is petrol jelly, cotton balls, a metal bin, and a hot air pistol. And as you can see here, I'm using the lid from an old saucepan. It's stainless steel metal, but basically any kind of bin that can withstand a little heat just works nicely here. The first thing you want to do is find out how many cotton balls fit inside your lid or inside your bin in such a way that the balls do not overlap, do not lie on top of each other, but in such a way that the bottom of the lid is nicely covered, just like so. And then we set the balls aside because now it's time to liquefy some petrol jelly. There is an underlying physical principle here, because in its solid form or even in its liquid form, petrol jelly isn't really flammable because the surface area is much too small. But by heating it up and thus liquefying it, we enable the cotton balls to soak up all the liquid. And that again happens due to the so-called capillary effect, because liquids, when put into very small tubes, tend to climb up. And thus our liquid petrol jelly will nicely disperse inside the cotton balls. And of course, when the temperature drops again later, the petrol jelly will again solidify, but we will have achieved a much bigger surface area. I don't know, 100 times, 1000 times bigger. And then when we use our lighter or some matches or sparks from a ferro rod, this kind of tinder will light very easily and very fast, thanks to the much larger surface area. So now it's time to fire up a hot air pistol. How much petrol jelly do you actually need here? The bottom of the lid should be covered at least about 2 millimeters. But you can actually vary the amount. The more petrol jelly you use, the more compact your tinder becomes, which means that it will burn longer, but you will also have to pull it apart more thoroughly. So I accelerated this video a little bit. Took me about a minute to liquefy the petrol jelly. You could also use a hairdryer, set it to high temperature, then it will take a little longer. Just make sure that there are no solid parts left inside the liquid, that everything is completely desolidified. And then it's time for our cotton balls to take a little dive in their petrol jelly whirlpool. And as you can see on the video, the cotton balls are soaking up all the liquid really fast. So just move them around a bit, that the surface area gets covered as much as possible, so the liquid has mostly disappeared inside our cotton balls, and our tinder is basically ready. So before using it, we just need to take it and pull it apart a little bit, which also has a nice side effect. You never have dry hands using this tinder. As I said before, Vaseline is widely used in cosmetics. So just pull it apart and you're ready to light your fire. I did make another batch because I wanted to find out about the melting point. I store these in a metal box. As you can see here, it's also very easy to seal them individually if you want to carry your tinder in a small EDC box, for example. And that's it. Now we just need a match, ferro rod, anything which is able to produce a little flame or a spark. Here I measured the temperature and it turns out the melting point of petrol jelly is about 47-50 degrees. So you could also use a water bath to liquefy your petrol jelly. Anything will work that gets the temperature up to about 50 degrees. Again, we put the cotton balls in, move them around a little bit, and as you can see, it's fast, easy, and you're good to go. cotton balls and some Vaseline. They're easy and quick to make, work super good even with wet wood, so no more need to buy expensive tinder or plunder those rare plants. And that's it for today. And now it's time to make some tinder and keep your fire going. Let me know how it worked out for you, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel because there's lots more content about fire making, about bushcrafts, knives, tools and baloney coming up. See you soon, guys.